so sorry to hear about your family's situation. Marisa, it must be a very difficult time.
It is very difficult because I cannot go, nobody can go and visit them. And just to comfort the little girl, which is, she lost her mom and she cannot visit her dad as well. So it's, very, very heart broken or heart. It's really, really, I cannot describe how I feel.
Of course, I apologize once again, but this whole situation, I think it's common knowledge to a lot that UK nurses are just very much heroes, and Filipino ones at that. Even broadcast journalists like Piers Morgan call them unsung heroes. So yes, there's an initiative that is happening thanks to very kind souls. It's called Balikbayani. And maybe now we can talk to Bianca Morris. She's the chairperson of that, and she's the one who sort of organized it, because I think that it touched you that a lot of Filipino nurses in the UK are suffering, though their families are suffering from their deaths. So talk to us about whose brainchild it was and what Balikbayani is all about.
Yes, thank you, Lexi. Thanks so much for having me. So kind of, I'm half British, half Filipino, so this definitely kind of hit very close to home. I think, following this whole pandemic in the news, I know so well that, there's such the Filipino healthcare workers in the UK were a cornerstone of the National Health Service. I don't think you can ever make use of the public healthcare system in the UK and not be touched by a Filipino healthcare worker. I will ask my British friends, and they will know, and they'll always have a story about how they've been so kindly helped by a Filipino healthcare worker. When I tell a British friend that I'm half Filipino, they'll be like, I was at the GP the other day, and this Filipina nurse was so, helped cheer me up when I was scared to get an injection. They'll have the story, and we are the cornerstone. And so I guess the idea for this campaign came about, and I was following the news, and the news about healthcare workers being struck down by this virus in the UK started to come on, and I started to recognize faces. As a half Filipina, I think we all have a radar for Filipino faces. You walk down the street in another country and you're like, that person's Filipino, I can tell. And I just started to see on the news, and I'm like, these are Filipinos. And I started to wonder who else is talking about this. So I searched it on Twitter, and I found Francis, and I thought, this is the only person, about 2-3 months ago, this is the only person who's really talking about it right now. And he was starting to keep account, and he was tweeting and tweeting. And I thought, this guy's up to something. He was really investigating. And he was starting to talk to the media and being really bold about it. And when I say bold, I mean brave, because this is, we're all saying it's the Filipinos. They have this endearing trait of being, head down, almost to a fault. Just keep your head down and work hard to the point of being almost invisible. But he was out there saying something is wrong. We need to investigate it. Our community is at risk. We're dying for it. And so I asked Francis, what can we do? And he told me the plight of people like Leilani, where her daughter is in foster care. Her husband is just out of the ICU, and there was no real next of kin. And there are other people who victims who were the sole breadwinners were sending, money home to the Philippines, and what of them now? And so that's where we thought, let's leverage network effects, because at the moment where there's this economic crisis, people are dealing with this pandemic in different ways. A little goes a long way. So I thought, let's get a team, 10 teams of 10, so 100 people to, symbolically bring these heroes home, because they couldn't go home to the Philippines, that last journey home one final time. So I thought, distance of the UK to the Philippines is 11,000 kilometers. We're all kind of isolated and locked down and miserable. But let's, exercise, move, run 11,000 kilometers and bring those heroes home the journey they couldn't do themselves. And in that way, raise funds. And so our target is 1 million pesos. We're working with the Royal College of Nursing Foundation, who are amazing. Again, Francis linked me with them, and they're basically they've acknowledged that the Filipino community, the healthcare community, is so distressed at the moment, so uniquely distressed, that they're ring fencing this pot of money that we're fundraising, and they're going to equally divide it to families like Marissa's family with Leilani, for example. So we're so excited. We've had a great response, but it's so important that we hit our target so we could really help these families, because it's such a distressing time for them.
So how do they get to join it? Because you do have a network already of 10 friends taking care of 10 others.
Yeah.
In countries as well. You've got Singapore, where you are right now. You've got the Philippines, obviously, the UK, the US, and other countries. So how is it working? What exactly are you doing to be able to raise the funds?
Yeah, so you just visit Balikbayani11k.org, and there's a way to donate in all sorts of currencies, including Philippine peso or pound sterling. But if you want to join in, if everyone's kind of wanting to move about, whether it's, a Zumba, whatever, we have equivalents. We have some NHS workers themselves, contributing 5 kilometers or that when they're walking to work and so on. We have a community team line. So we have, just tag us on Instagram or Facebook, or send us an email. Our email address is on our website, and let us know how many kilometers you've done, and we'll put it on our community line, and help us raise funds. Let people know, because every little bit goes a long way. If it's £5, if it's 100 pesos, these families really need it. It goes a long way. They'll use it to support the families that have been left behind. They'll use it to cover funeral expenses, repatriation, and all sorts of things.
When did Balikbayani start, and how much have you raised so far? Because you're going for 1 million, and I think it's a 30-day sort of process.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So we started on Monday. It's 30 days, so we end on June 12th, which is the Philippine Independence Day. So
Independence Day.
The whole Balikbayani kind of theme and thing. So yeah.
Marissa, what do you think of the initiative? I mean, she pretty much found Francis on Twitter, and now there's this whole movement to sort of help the Filipino and Filipino nurses, caregivers who've fallen due to COVID-19.
Yeah, it's a good initiative to do that, and during when it's breaking out of the COVID wonder in UK, and there are lots of organizations who came together to do some kind of fundraising for the Filipinos who lost their lives, which is and I wish that it will not happen again, and we have not second wave of this pandemic here in the whole world, which is because I think maybe we did not lose lots of frontliners or key workers if we prepare for it, or the government handled it properly. I don't know what is the properly, but if they anticipate what is going on, what happened in other countries, then we could have, prevent this death. And I
go ahead, Mom.
And thank you for Francis outlined the whole what is going on in the Filipino community and here in UK. And also I think it's about time as well that they recognize Filipinos, because I've been doing this job for a while now as well, and they never acknowledge, I think, the work of whatever the Filipino community contributed to the UK's system. We never acknowledge. I always say that why the Filipinos never been acknowledged. No matter what, like he said, we don't want to complain, and we just oblige. We have to be docile because we don't want to be reprimanded, and we don't want to be told off. And yeah, like we lost the job, and like he mentioned that about they are worried if we lost their job, because especially those who just first or just came here recently, they might not able to renew their working permit, or they will not be able to apply for indefinite leave to remain. So that's why most of us frightened to speak up, even we knew that it's not good for our health. It will affect us our health, but still we just keep quiet. Even me, I'm here for quite some time now, and I said it's about time that we have to speak out, in a nice way, because it's not only for just the sake of Filipino community and other ethnic minorities as well. So I think it's about time that we have to do this and recognize also the Filipino community, because even where I work, majority are Filipinos. Where I used to work, most of the carer, from the kitchen, from the chef to the housekeeping, is all Filipinos. So, but they never acknowledge us. No matter what good job you're doing all these trainings and everything, but you still put aside. So I think it's about time that the Filipino will be recognized.
Exactly. But Francis, you were also saying that there are already steps being taken because they did recognize the sheer number or the percentage of Filipinos that are losing this battle.
Yeah, so the government here in the UK, through NHS England, has already called for the investigation, urgent investigation. So it's an independent investigation, not only into the Filipino deaths, but also with the other ethnicities, mostly Black and Asian and minority ethnic. Specifically for Filipinos, they are having regular dialogues with myself and my set of officers through the Filipino Nurses Association UK. We then feedback the dialogues and the concerns we raised to different networks of Filipino communities across the UK. There also is now established NHS helpline specifically for Filipinos, manned by Filipino leaders and nurse leaders across the UK. So that's another help that they have established. They will be helping with the case-to-case basis of those nurses. This is nurses who wanted to be repatriated and those who are as well stranded in the Philippines. But the Filipino Nurses Association are also doing our bit, and we are collaborating with different charities. Bianca mentioned about the RCN Foundation, so they awarded a couple of financial assistance already to the bereaved families. And Lumen UK is another UK charity manned by Filipino volunteers, different professional associations. We also have the Philippine Embassy in London linking with us for those Filipinos who were not British. Obviously, Bianca's great team, Balikbayani11k.org. We are also helping to fundraise the bereaved families and the nurses in the front line themselves through different means. So individually, they have this GoFundMe campaign, which then raises money to help the families of those who died and those also in the Philippines. We are also providing pastoral care through counseling. We've now got a dedicated website, Filipino Unite. We have dedicated helpline as well to help Filipinos through the grieving process. We are also helping as a group our nurses who are still working in the front line, and they have issues with regards to being exposed to COVID-19 patients and without adequate protection. So we are advising them to get in touch with their union rep. We're advising them to link with us so that we can support them and help them and voice their concerns through NHS England. So I work closely with the Chief Nursing Officer for England, Ruth May, and Yvonne Coghill. And the last one, if I just could mention a couple of cases of my colleagues who have contacted us with their concerns, just to emphasize that is still happening anecdotally across the front line, both in the NHS and care homes. So a pregnant Filipino lady was still working until last week, looking after patients in a COVID ward. So even though her doctors, her midwife, Public Health England, and the RCN rep told her not to work, the manager still insisted that she work. So I advised her not to work, and she's now finally not working, looking after patients with COVID. So we know that, we don't know what the risks are to the unborn child. So having a pregnant woman, Filipino as well, so we are at risk already, and then a pregnant woman working in a COVID area is really not appropriate. So she's now sorted. There are also 2 nurses who came to us with cancer. One is working in an NHS trust, the other one is working in a care home, and they were still working until again last week when our group advised them not to work and shield themselves, because if you've got cancer, your immune system is very low, which meant that you're prone to catch COVID and you'll probably die from COVID, not of the cancer. We also have heard about the cases of the Filipinos who are stranded in the Philippines. So we are dealing with them now. We're helping them to come back to the Philippines and work in the NHS. They're all NHS nurses, mostly in London. So we are liaising with the British Embassy in Manila and also Philippine Embassy here in London, but also NHS England. So they'll be looked at ways of helping them financially, because most of them are now on unpaid leave. And lastly, there were a group of Filipino nurses who work in a care home, private care home in Oxford. They came and asked me for their advice and support because most of them who were self-isolating were not paid the employee retention scheme that the government is paying other workers, even non-healthcare workers. So they are only receiving statutory sick pay. So we are in the process of working with the lawyers and barristers of the goodlawsociety.org, who kindly approached me and offered their legal services for free. So if they win compensation, those nurses in the social care sector will get all the financial benefits, and the lawyers won't be paid anything. It's their charitable work. So those are the things that are happening and are being done at the moment to help our colleagues here in the UK and their families.
Well, Francis, this is so unprecedented.
Up next, we look at how the pandemic has affected the Philippine coffee industry.